Մենք շատ ուրախ ենք այս հանդիպման համար մի շարք պատճառներով, որովհետև այնպես ստացվեց, որ մենք գտանք այդ զուգահեռները, երբ Ռոտերդամի կինոփառատոնում դեռևս տարվա սկզբին սկսեցին բանակցությունները Կարլոս Ռեյգադասի ներկայության մասին, մենք այդ ընթացքում նաև հայտնաբերեցինք, ուսումնասիրելով նրանց, Ռեյգադասին հայտնաբերեցինք նաև նրա կապը Արթուր Արիստակեսյանի հետ, եւ իհարկե գտնում ենք, որ երկու արվեստագետներն էլ մեծ բացահայտվելու կարիք ունեն հայ հանդիսատեսի առջև, չնայած նրան, որ հեռավոր ամենաառաջին ոսկե ծիրանին 16 տարի առաջ տեղը երկրի վրա, ֆիլմը, որ վաղը հնարավորություն կունենաք երեկոյան Կարմիր դահլիճում դիտելու Արթուր Արիստակեսյանի, այդ ֆիլմը Կարլոս Ռեյգադասի ամենասիրելի ֆիլմերից էր, երբ նա դեռ 17 տարի առաջ, 16 տարի առաջ Մեքսիկայում հայտնաբերել էր Արթուր Արիստակեսյանին եւ հետո հասկացանք, որ դա պարզապես դիստանցիոն ինչ-որ հավանություն չէր մեկ արվեստագետի մյուսի հանդեպ, այլ այդ հավանությունը այն աստիճանի էր հասել, որ Ռեյգադասը առաջարկել էր համագործակցություն եւ այդ համագործակցությունը գրեթե պետք է տեղի ունենար, բայց ժամանակավոր ձգձգվեց եւ կարծում եմ, որ դա նույնպես այսօրվա խոսակցության առիթներից մեկը կդառնա եւ նաեւ մենք հիշեցինք մեկ այլ հանդիպում, ինչպես Գոթֆրեյ Ռեջոն եւ Արտավազդ Փելեշյանը, երկու վավերագրողներ, որոնք նույնպես հերվից հեռու գիտեին միմյանց մասին ու տածում էին այդ ակնածանքը, բայց ֆիզիկապես հանդիպեցին Երևանում։ Սա ֆիզիկական հանդիպման առումով այդ դեպքը չէ, բայց շատ կարևոր այսպես զուգադիպություն ստացվեց, որը իհարկե անհնար էր չօգտագործել եւ շնորհակալություն ձեր ներկայության համար եւ հուսով եմ, որ անպայման այս հանդիպումը նաեւ հնարավորություն կտա օգտվել հետահայաց ցուցադրությունների մեր հնարավորություններից, որովհետեւ 4 ֆիլմը Կարլոս Ռեյգադասից եւ 2-ը Արթուր Արիստակեսյանից այս տարվա ծրագրի շրջանակում ներկայացված են եւ Ռեյգադասի դեպքում վերջից դեպի սկիզբ, 3 եւ այսօր էլ հնարավորություն կա նրա վերջի ֆիլմը դիտելու ու հետո արդեն նաև այս հանդիպումից հետո էլ ավելի մեծ ինֆորմացիա ստանալով հետ գնալ մինչ նրա առաջին ֆիլմը, իսկ այժմ սիրով խոսքը փոխանցում եմ նրանց, ձեզ էլ շնորհակալություն ևս մեկ անգամ ձեր ներկայության համար.
I'd like to start with film as a medium because both filmmakers are doing something very interesting and distinctive with it. So film is a visual and oral medium that unfolds in time, and it has a very interesting and complex relationship with the reality of what is being photographed. And the temporal dimension is also really complex as well, because on the one hand, it can show us pure duration, but it can also confound our perception of time. And I think with that basis, it opens up all sorts of really interesting, creative, and even psychological, or you might even say spiritual possibilities as well. So I'd like to start with your first films, because in some ways they announced you announced yourselves as utterly distinctive filmmakers from your first feature films. So Artur made the film Palms in 1993, which was his VGIK diploma film, and Carlos Reygadas made his first film Japón in 2002. So I guess let's start with Artur. How many here have seen Palms before? So a few people. The film is really quite remarkable because it looks as if it were made in a different era. Can you tell us a little bit about the origins of this film as your diploma project for the VGIK?
Просто любовь к пленке. Это магия. Ты снимаешь и потом в тот же день смотришь это. И не веришь, что ты это снял. Вот.
So you shot this film on black and white stock did you shoot it on 35 millimeter, and what kind of stock did you shoot it on to get that very distinctive look?
16.
16 millimeter, okay.
Но потом перевод на 35 дает эффект. Непонятно, это снято в 80-е годы или в 20-е при контратипировании, при копировании. Не было бы пленки, не было бы фильма. На цифру я бы не снимал.
And you, Carlos, so your first film was also pretty unusual. So it was shot on 16 millimeter, and as you mentioned earlier, it was shot in CinemaScope, which is very unusual for a 16 millimeter film, and you had a special adapter lens that you used to shoot it. Another distinctive feature, I think, for Japón is the use of silver retention. Was this in the development? Was this done with the original prints to give it that desaturated look?
Yes, I also shot in 16 millimeters. In the normal gate, the 1:37 ratio. But since then I always wanted to see images very differently from contemporary photography, you know, or now with digital images that we see on telephones. Yes, we used this lens that made a CinemaScope, 2x166, longer than the usual CinemaScope. And we also did the blow up to 35 millimeters. And Artur is right. This makes you. There's like an interpretation of what we see, a reinterpretation that is meaningful somehow. So I want to make my new film in 16 millimeters again. It's a beautiful support. Yes.
So out of curiosity, did you have any difficulty working with the labs when you used the silver retention process? Because I know they do it with 35 millimeter, but I wasn't aware that they often process 16 millimeter film that way.
Just before, for the idea before, eventually we will probably ask Artur what does he think about black and white, because I want it to look like that it's not so easy to see that there is an effect. Maybe the viewer thinks this is a normal image, but there's something that is abnormal about it, which is hidden. But when it's black and white or something like that, then this abnormality is present. And this all means a lot to me also, so I want to eventually ask him what he thinks. But about this silver retain, I wanted this desaturation and also high contrast. I don't remember exactly why, but just to reinterpret what I didn't want to reproduce things I see them with my own eyes, but but capture them and transform them in something else. And the labs were fine. It was a lab in Mexico, probably better than the Russian lab that he says that makes it like a film from the 20s. I don't know.
Yes, Artur, could you say a little bit more about your exclusive choice of black and white for shooting your films?
Ну, в черно-белой, старой черно-белой пленке, особенно старой, много цвета. Его нет на экране, но ты его ощущаешь.
Another thing that I find very striking about both of your films is that you work extensively with non-professional actors, including people that you know. And you both put them in challenging situations on screen. So it's a very different work with non-professional actors, I think, than what you find with, say, Italian neorealism. It's a different relationship with the actor. Could you tell us a bit about your collaboration with non-professionals?
Нетипичный опыт. Я не могу, хотя я преподаю в киношколе, я не могу дать ни одного дельного совета студентам. Я не знаю, как надо. Я опирался на свой опыт. Это была моя жизнь, это были люди, которых мне посылала жизнь, посылала судьба. И, актеры тоже я не вижу разницы. Есть актеры от Бога, но они есть и в жизни. Они не играют в театре, не снимаются в кино, но это актеры от Бога. Я почему-то подумал, что когда Ной спустился с горы Арарат, цвета не было, мир был черно-белый. Почему? Я сейчас подумал об этом. Почему-то цвет потом появился. А актеры. Актеры я люблю актеров на экране, когда смотрю старые фильмы. А в деле ты уже не с актерами работаешь. Я не могу назвать, что это какой-то материал такой получеловеческий какой-то. Я не могу сказать. Ну, если бы вот не из пластилина что-то делал, а из человека, нельзя сказать. Это не могу сказать. Меня поразило, что в лагерях смерти, в концлагерях, были театры. И вот его до сих пор разыскивают. Говорят, что он жив. Менгеле. Он ставил свои медицинские опыты на, больше на близнецах, на нестандартных людях, потому что, ставя опыты на нормальных людях, ничего открыть нельзя. То есть к истине могут привести только ненормальные люди. Его интересовали люди с физическими и психическими аномалиями. Но это моя версия. Почему там существовал театр? Ему надо было, чтобы люди проявляли свои психические способности в театре. Это нужно было для эксперимента. Я не знаю, понятно ли, нет? Это ему нужно было для его медицинских опытов. Те, над кем он проводил опыты, играли в театре. Поэтому я не знаю, где вообще проходят границы искусства. И не знаю, не думаю, что это имеет отношение к морали. Это что-то не человеческое, и для жизни это не нужно. Искусство не нужно для жизни. Это больше какая-то наука или не знаю.
Yes. So, Carlos, could you tell us something about your collaboration with non-professionals?
Yes. Mostly what we see in cinemas, and somehow your question comes from there, is basically drama. Narrative cinema, where you show characters developing a conflict, and for sure a morale. And it's interesting that Artur mentioned the morale. And then you could ask, and then there's some people that work with actors and some people with non-professionals. And the question would make sense, like I work this way or this other way. But then what I'm trying to do is something different, which is not reproducing or representing drama. I'm trying to do something different, which is to present something that, in my opinion, is something more interesting that the camera can do, which is not only to record information, but to capture to capture maybe what we perceive as reality or maybe existence. So if you do this, then the whole question of actors is completely irrelevant. Absolutely, whether they're actors or non-actors or whatever. It would be like asking a photographer or a painter why doesn't he paint? Why does he not paint actors? And how is his relationship with the non-actors that he paints? You know, a painter doesn't know anything about acting. That is not what he's doing. He's painting ordinary people, places, objects. So if you are not doing this in cinema, the whole thing of actors for me is completely irrelevant. I technically think that cinema is not made for acting and for actors. And I know people like even Artur likes to see old actors in great films. And I understand it. We always like to see what we know and recognize these faces, and we attach something special to that. That's why we've always liked theater, and even the pink press, as it's called in Mexico, you know, like Victoria Beckham and all these people. We see them because we are attached to repeating the same feeling of observing something, Kim Kardashian, all these things, you know. But that's very similar to the big actors he's probably talking about. It's the actual thing that pushes you to appreciate Kim Kardashian or probably those big actors, it's the same. But I think cinema can do something else, which is capturing moments or elements or fragments of actual existence. And I think this is what the sound and the camera can do, which is underused. It has been terribly underused in cinema because of narrative cinema. So so how do I act? How do I work with these people? Just like I would work with actors, exactly the same way. It's only people. Or I work with people the same way I work with stones, or with water, or with a dog. This is not bad for people. That I say for my own children that I love very much, or my wife, or myself, because I'm in my own last film. I treat people and stones the same way in film while making a film, not in real life. I don't kick people around or throw them. You know? But when I'm making a film, for me it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to describe it, because perhaps I didn't frame it in the best way. I think what I find interesting about both of your films, or actually deeply moving, is that your films present us with people in their full existence and in a very intimate way on screen. I think that's maybe a better way to say what I was trying to work with, or what I was trying to express, because you don't just see like a constructed persona. You're seeing actual bodies, and you're seeing pain and sexual desire in a very raw, and tenderness in a very direct way in your films.
I can say something very brief about that, which is that this persona, or this idea of constructing a character, it's something that I avoid personally, because I think we are not characters. Even the people you know best, your brother, your wife, your partner, you couldn't define as you would define a character in a film. All this archetypical construction, for me, is equivalent to reductionism, to reducing the complexity of the multi-layered thing that we are always. So this is almost like an anathema, an anathema. But I completely would like to get rid of all Greek mythology, all this thing we've been constructing for millennia, and that we think is so important. I think this is drama, which is absolutely irrelevant for film. That's all this Greek mythology, all this construction that throughout the whole West, but also in the East, has been very present. I think this cinema can be about something completely different. It's like liberating painting from the time when it had to be narrative, first religiously, and then other things, you know, eventually social issues, whatever. I think that you could get rid of all of that with cinema.
Thank you very much. I think what I'd like to do now is shift the format a little bit. What I'd like is really to give the two of you more of an opportunity to share questions and observations with each other. And also, if you wish, if there's anything that you would like to share with the audience as they are about to watch your films, that would also be good. It's really, I'd like to leave it up to you now a little bit about how you would like to approach this, this next segment of the conversation.
No, I have a question that is relating to something that will be of interest, I think. I want to say that what I just said of representation, like I don't want to reproduce or represent. Artur, at least in A Place on Earth, he's actually, he does reproduce and represent with some acting.
What?
With acting, with some acting, some. But I think what is amazing, and for me it's as incredible, as unbelievably strong as presentation, because he's doing this without a code. And then you see I see the real presence even in drama. So it has like the two qualities. Because in the end, the camera is also capturing the presence, even though there's a representation. Well, so that's why I find his cinema so deep and so powerful, and it has all these layers.
Говорить о том, о чем мы пытаемся говорить, словами очень трудно, невозможно. Ну, сказать правду невозможно словами. Не знаю.
Правда.
Об этом. И я сказал, что назвал вот это актерское и режиссерское искусство наукой. Мне это магия, она очень близка науке. Мне просто было интересно, как съемка повлияет на жизнь людей, которых я снимаю, на мою жизнь. Это опыт. Можно назвать его опытом искусства, можно назвать его бесчеловечным экспериментом, но у меня нет своего концлагеря, как у доктора Менделя. Понимаете? Есть люди, есть камера, пленка, вот, плоть это, света. И значит, что я могу? Я могу взять старую фотографию. Это не я снимал. Но когда я на нее смотрю, просто старая фотография, любительская фотография, это снял я, потому что это я смотрю. И человек с фотографией смотрит на меня. Он сейчас жив. Магия. Я недавно вернулся в Кишинев и пошел на кладбище, смотрел фотографии мертвых. Это были, вот они актеры были. Это один кадр. Лицо. Это снимки, которые сделаны при жизни. Это фотографии, сделанные при жизни. Но это уже не люди, это актеры. Это актеры в каком-то вот театре не знаю, смерти. Я не знаю, почему я это изучаю, почему когда актриса, одна из моих любимых актрис русских, Панкова, она выступала на фронте, почему когда ее разбудили, заставили играть, она играла Чехова, что ли. Летчики, перед которыми она играла, все погибли. Значит, а она так хорошо не играла никогда, она сказала. Значит, кто это играл? Кто перед ними играл? Кто был на сцене? Человек? Вряд ли. Актриса? Ну, сказать актриса, ничего не сказать. Это их смерть играла Чехова. Они скорее, если искать ответа, то я не нахожу другого ответа. Смерть играла, их смерть, они все погибли. Когда она играла, она поймала себя на мысли, что они все погибнут. Ну вот они сидят, смотрят, как она играет Чехова. И она знает, что никто из них не... Все погибнут, все. Никого. Когда я поступал в АГБУ, там тоже была пленка. Там он пришел с чемоданом поступать. Это большой конкурс в ГИК, это главный институт в Москве. Он попросил посмотреть фильм. У него в чемодане проектор и пленка. Проектор и пленка. Пленка 8-миллиметровая. Не было на него времени и сил, но он убедил. И его не хотели брать, но пожалели и сказали: хорошо, 5 минут посмотрим. И он включил проектор, и вот появился квадрат света на экране, маленький. И там какая-то, любительская, съемка, не представляющая интереса. Как бы. Какое-то море, женщина у моря. Видимо, он снимал женщину. Просто мужчина снимает женщину. Она забегает в море, оглядывается. Там вода холодная, видимо. Она оглядывается в камеру. Забегает и оглядывается. Забегает и оглядывается. Почему-то они смотрели там полчаса. Бобина полчаса. Они все сидели и полчаса на это смотрели. Не могли оторвать глаз. Почему? Да, непонятно. Потом все, изображение пропадает, на экране снова только квадрат. Они уже оглядываются на него. А он умер. Понятна ситуация, нет? Человек просит посмотреть его съемку, показывает любительскую съемку. Там какая-то женщина забегает в море, оглядывается, забегает в море, оглядывается. Потом оглядываются они, потому что он не подает голоса. Не подает голоса. А он лежит, он мертв. Лежит мертвый. Вот когда женщина на экране оглянулась, видимо, это была его любовь, была женщина, я не знаю, которую он любил. Она оглянулась в камеру, она его забрала. Женщина эта живет в другом городе, у нее 6 детей, такая корова, так сказать, понимаете? Это женщина, из костей и мяса там. Но на экране это не эта женщина, это богиня, это другое существо. Она оглядывается несколько раз в камеру. Он умирает. Она его, так сказать, вытаскивает из этого, так сказать, болота, из этой жизни, из этого мира. И таких случаев много. И я взял камеру, потому что у меня было много таких случаев в жизни, которые объяснить нельзя. Назвать их просто смертью тоже нельзя. Просто реальность устроена не совсем так, как мы себе это предполагаем. Она устроена по-другому как-то. Я не знаю, какое отношение к этому имеет актерское мастерство и и фотографическое изображение на пленке. Но мне это представляется очень важным. Важным это исследовать, но это не сухое научное исследование. Это исследовать можно только в чувствах. Это, ну, вот без чувств нельзя. Вот, казалось бы, тут нужна голова, но нет, тут нужны чувства, нужна информация, которой мы не владеем, но тут важны чувства. Чтобы открыть, нужны чувства. То есть тайны открываются вот, в ответ на чувства, если они есть сильные чувства. Вот, собственно, все. Сильные чувства. Да.
So, Carlos, did you have any comments to follow up on what he said, or would you like to go ahead and just open up to the audience for questions?
I would just say I feel something essentially very similar, but much more simple. That's all. I believe in exactly the same things, but without the magic or anything like that. Just the consciousness, which is different, but it's very similar.
Yes. So thank you. Right now, I'd like to go ahead and open it up to the audience, and you can ask questions of either Carlos or Artur, as you please.
Здравствуйте. Я постараюсь задать вопрос на русском, чтобы не была та проблема. Странно. 2 дня назад я посмотрела ваш фильм «Ладони». Вопрос к Артуру. 2 дня назад я посмотрела «Ладони». Как я поняла и какое вот на меня впечатление произвел фильм, что это на 100% авторский фильм. То, что шел, тот текст, который мы на протяжении фильма слушали, я это представляла как ваш текст. Это Аристакесян говорит с нами. Это его... Вот можно это прокомментировать? Вот.
Есть и вот сцена, темнота, свет, все, больше ничего нет. Есть вот такой театр. На сцене свет, вот это экран, это актер. Он вот мелькает экран, это актер. Мелькает он, это его действие. Это, просто это не, он не из тела состоит, а из это экран, это вот это ткань, свет. И там мелькают образы, фигуры. Это театр. А голос это тоже голос актера. Это голос актера. Мы его не видим, но другого актера. Один актер это вот он его тело это вот тряпка, это, так сказать, светящаяся. А другой актер, его не видно, голос. Но это я вошел в роль. Я вошел в роль человека какого-то. Такой человек ходил действительно по городу, разговаривал со своим неродившимся сыном. Это актерство, понимаете? Лицедейство, но только не... Меня там нет, голос есть. Но это актерство. Это, не знаю, понятно, нет?
Понятно,
это не голос режиссера, снявшего документальный фильм.
Может, вопрос был неправильный.
Это не голос там Михаила Рома из фильма «Обыкновенный фашизм».
Просто вот фильм, который после фильма остается такое новое мировосприятие, он дает тебе, ну мне он дал новое мировосприятие. И если я думаю, что это вот ваш фильм, это в неком образе это ваше мировосприятие?
Нет, опять же, использую слова, опять же, это не текст, литературный или философический текст в книге или там. А это звук. Звук, там главное звук. Вот, они звуки тиранят психику. Ну, вот впрыскивают что-то. Вот и все. Это вот такие впрыскивания в психику, и все, не более. Это не... В идеале я хотел бы разговаривать как был такой странник в Кишиневе, появился, его КГБ выловило и допрашивало долго. Он говорил на английских языках. Знаете, они говорят на языках таких, называют ангельскими. Непонятно, что он говорит. Он говорил, никому не было понятно, но все понимали все. Потому что он на психику влиял. Ну, не знаю, как птица или как рыба, если бы рыба заговорила. Я не знаю. Понимаете, да? Тут дело не в том, что какая мысль озвучена. Да? Это не философия. Там, если бы я мог звуки, если бы у меня был его талант, да? У него от Бога талант был, он мог звуками доносить истину. Это не истину, но вводить в транс, в тот, который он хотел, людей звуками. Что-то он им сообщал, что-то через него проходило. Да? Он звуками только пользовался. А я этого не умею, к сожалению, и приходится словами пользоваться, понимаете? Поэтому слова такие, там, Бог, Христос, там, не знаю, но это слова. Это звуки. Если философия не была растворена в этом, в звуках, то это плохо. Это уже побочный эффект фильма, недостаток фильма. Это жмых или то, что остается, когда вино делают, вот остается. Это не то. Главное вот это опьянение, если оно психическое. Если происходит, значит, хорошо. Если оно, если человек больше думает, то это хуже.
Хорошо. Спасибо.
Я хочу сказать, что я поняла вот этот предыдущий вопрос. Когда смотришь ваш фильм, единственное, о чем думаешь, это о человеке, который создал этот фильм. И вот когда вы сейчас появились наяву, это что-то невероятное, конечно.
Совершаете ошибку очень большую. Человек не имеет отношения к тому, кто... Понимаете, это две разные сущности. Человек, который живет, вынужден жить. Вот я вынужден как-то... Мне нужно где-то ночевать, кого-то иногда видеть, с кем-то иногда рядом лежать. А человек, который... Человек, которого вы говорите, называете там, не знаю, режиссером, актером или художником, он это другое, это существо не из, как сказать, нет, он испытывает боль, все эти чувства, он испытывает даже сильнее, но он не человек, он ну, это не тот человек, которого можно взять за руку, я не знаю. Это два разных, я не могу назвать их, абсолютно две разные сущности. Поэт, который живет в стихотворении, скажем, или женщина, зачем поэт? Просто женщина пишет письмо, попадает в руки письмо. И женщина, которая писала это письмо, я люблю находить там в старых брошенных домах какие там письма, открытки, на помойке тоже иногда нахожу. Люди, это совсем не те люди. Потом я иногда я пытался находить людей. Это другие сущности. Это не человек, который живет там, принимает гостей, провожает гостей. Там. И человек, который стоит за этими словами, писавшими это другой человек. Это не человек, даже не знаю.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My question is for Carlos, but it looks like there's a language missing. Bienvenido a Armenia. Espero que lo esté pasando chévere. And my question is regarding what you said about cinema, your perception of cinema as something more, a more organic or raw process, that is something that's not constructed. And I really like what you said about the presence, and I'm wondering, what's your view of interpretation in general? Because much of film criticism interprets and analyzes, and I'm wondering whether you have ever encountered an analysis or interpretation that left you speechless, or you thought it was ridiculous because there's so much theoretical frameworks, I don't know, being imposed on cinema, while for you it's such a simple and organic, medium of capturing reality. So I'm wondering, what do you think about interpretation of art in general? And also, you said, while working with natural actors, you're saying that it doesn't matter who you're working with, but I'm wondering whether natural actors actually bring something or do not bring something to the screen that makes you choose them as your actors. You see what I mean? Why do you end up working with natural actors instead of professional ones if it doesn't matter what kind of relationship you have with them? Thank you.
Well, first I have to say that relating to everything that Artur said before about two different people, I completely share this point of view. But just without all the magical approach. Marcel Proust also shared that approach. And at that time there was this very famous critic who was called Sainte-Beuve, who wanted to know everything about the so-called real person, so he could write a good review. And he wanted to know where they were born and how they were like and what class they belonged to and if they had coffee and what were they thinking. And Proust wrote in his book, this is absolutely pointless because me, myself, who writes these books, is not the same one as me who lives this life. Of course, we share the same body, but I really relate to the way he put it and how he just puts it in completely magical terms because there's no need to explain any further. If that concept can be understood, it doesn't need an explanation because, as he says, any explanation would be a construction, not a real explanation. It's just like that, and I completely relate to that idea. And then about your question, I'll answer the second one first. Maybe you're right, actors are also people, are presence. So maybe I would also shoot with actors, but it just happens that maybe 1 out of 10,000 people is an actor in the world, or maybe less. So it would have to be a coincidence. But I'm not against actors, but I just don't need to look for actors. So I just look for the people that, in my feeling, and it's a question of feeling, share some characteristics, mostly very difficult to define, mostly what you could consider just energetic, like a feeling of what I want to build of what the character will be in the film. So I look for the right person, and if the casting is right, everything will go well. And if the casting is wrong, everything will go bad. Because it's not about reproducing with a technique a character, but just about being there and saying many things mechanically, and sometimes bringing some real feelings, which are not the feelings of the characters. And with all these elements, you construct something new. With all these energies that you are capturing here and there, you are building something that will mean something different from what you are capturing. What I'm trying to say is that very often you can capture someone who is thinking, well, the best effect is the Kuleshov effect. Someone who is actually just looking at a wall, and maybe through the construction of the film, he will seem to be hungry or sad or happy. And there's no acting whatsoever there. And this even goes as far as animals. And very recently, I was asked about my film Postenebra's looks. I don't know if you've seen it, but at the end, there's a dying man and his dogs are in his room. And someone said to me, oh, it's amazing to see how these dogs are really sad, you know, you really created the atmosphere for that. And actually these dogs, just out of the frame, we were holding a sausage. And they were just waiting for the sausage to be released. And this is how you construct cinema. You don't have to invoke the energy that the film will produce while you are making it. You have to, like a house in the end will be a house and will maybe with some trees and light. But when you're doing it, you have to think of the bricks, how you put them, and the cement and everything, you know. It's not, you don't have to think about the house when you're putting the cement, the bricks. You have to think about the bricks, so it's all constructed this way. And cinema is strange in the sense that you have to pre-visualize and go to a long, distant horizon while you're making it, and never lose that horizon that will lead you, but you are not going to feel the energy of the horizon while you're building it. Like in the opposite to, for example, a jazz musician who is immediately feeling what he's producing. This is the opposite. And then your first question was, just give me the clue. Oh, yes, like the interpretations and all this, yes. Basically, all the interpretations I've heard about anything in my film, for me, are valid, because they show how each one of the persons that says something feels and is. But some are more interesting than others, and some have even given me ideas for what I have done. Because what I do, and this connects to the question, to the two persons he was talking about, or Marcel Proust, when I'm doing the film, when I'm writing it, when I'm visualizing it, I don't, my reasonable aspect is not the dominant one. It's the intuitive one. So when you do something with intuition, because intuition is not just random creation, it means that something which is not reason is the first driving force. Not like an engineer who must use reason as a first driving force, or a film critic. It's something else that you are doing. So sometimes with these interpretations, I do have insight into something even about myself.
Although it appears that in your films, the motifs are sometimes unclear of why things happen, but there's a stronger focus on how things are happening or how the camera captures it.
Yes, because I told you that I don't say this with arrogance, like I want to make films like life. This is impossible, but this is an aspiration. And I would answer to you that in life, the motives are always unclear. Always. Even the stories about your parents, the ones you know best, I ask you and I ask your sister, they have different opinions. Even if I ask you maybe now and I ask you in the afternoon, you give me the contradictory versions of it. So only in film, you have this morale that is telling you what this means, and mostly we want this because this is the sugar we've been fed with since we were babies and we start watching audiovisual. But for me as a viewer, I enjoy it when the person making the film is not showing me around. It's like someone gives you some wine and just lets you have it, or someone gives you wine and says, have 2 sips, feel it how it is, and feel this salty, and now feel this and that. It's a question of taste. Some people prefer this, and some people prefer to be left alone. So I'm trying to do films that leave you alone, because for me it's boring to be telling you what this means and you know what? I really don't even know what something means in these verbal terms. I really don't know. But mostly people think that when a director says this, either he's lying or he's an idiot. But I hope I'm neither, but I really don't know. But you know what happens later when I think about the things? I realize that there is a connection and that there is something reasonable also behind, and I can even bring interpretations. Like in my last film about the engines in the car, for example, and all those machines. I just did them out of intuition when I wrote them, when I filmed them, when I edited. But then later I had to talk. So then I understood why they were there. But maybe this is only an explanation for me, and maybe it's not exact, you know? I just thought everything is energy. So an engine and a woman being unfaithful and a man thinking are basically very similar things. So all disconnected there when I was writing, but I never asked myself why. This is the important thing that I would try to say. You don't need to ask yourself why. Why? And this is something that in music you really can be away from. That's why music is so special. You don't need, but in cinema we want to see it as a text, as he was saying, as a philosophy text or sociology text, like this means and this and that. Which doesn't mean there's no responsibility of the artist, but it's not a technical responsibility here or there, like in the way you would engage with words and just feelings, because for me this would be propaganda. For me the responsibility is to be truthful to your inner vision. That is the real important responsibility, because when you are truthful to your inner vision, you are showing and you are not directing. And this is what I like in Artur's films, like you were asking about Ladoni. He's showing this part of Chisin now, and he's saying, and maybe you could say, but he's using music on top, and he's, of course, reinterpreting somehow. Yes, but there's enough freedom for us still to find our own ways and see his construction. He's showing, and this is the beauty for me of cinema, showing. And this is why we say, look at the landscape to your partner, to whomever we want to show others things, because this is the way we really relate. Not through classification and knowledge as many people understand it, which is counting and classification and saying good constructions. But it's just showing. Showing is the best way of feeling, and probably some other form of knowledge. You're welcome.
So, hi. Thank you for the talk, and this question for the Carlos. How do you get so much detail in psychological aspects of every single character? I mean, I guess it comes in the writing, so do you, I mean, I'm a writer-director myself, so like, can you share any of your thinking process? Like,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I just do it, but by not wanting to do anything psychological. I really don't construct anything psychological in the characters while I write, and nothing psychological also when they're acting. And I never conceive them as psychological entities. So I just trust the character and whatever is coming to the writing as matter, as situations, but without building psychology. No, so all these people are open places. And then when I find the real people and they're filmed, I am not trying to make any kind of point. If you stop narrating, if you forget about creating characters, this thing that I'm telling you that seems abstract and complicated actually becomes a natural result, completely natural result. Just tell something. I was going to say a story, but no, because this implies a lot of things. Just tell something, choose the people, film them, be passive when you film, and this will happen as a natural result. This passiveness of shooting, it's hard for many people to understand, because we think of cinema as something so rational, so active. You have to get what you are trying to say. And this is what they tell you in everywhere. You have to know what you're saying. But if we really understand that we mustn't know what we're saying, that we must feel, then, and let the camera work, and believe in cinema, and let the construction work, the Kuleshov Effect. The Kuleshov Effect really is the clue to your question. The Kuleshov Effect, you really think he's really sad when he's seeing the coffin, or happy seeing the girl playing. And there's no psychology, absolutely no psychology. We have to bring it when we receive the images, and when we're seeing the film in a construction in time, we have to fill up the psychology. It mustn't be in the film, absolutely not. If not, you will not be able to feel what you just described. I hope this is not too abstract, but I really think so. If I would read one of your scripts and I see you trying to make a point defining a character, I would tell you, you are destroying the capacity of this character to embody this thing you just described, this deepness in each one of them. Casting, the casting very important, but also the way you write the way you think about them since the beginning. If you think of them as symbols, as they are going to stand for something else, they will never be deep. They will not be deep. I have a problem with that, because a lot of people, for example, in my films, always people are projecting symbols. But this is completely wrong. I don't think that way. For me, the bull is not the symbol of masculinity, you know? When I'm in the countryside, I see a bull, I don't think, oh, masculinity. Or I see a horse, and I think of this. And I see a rose, I don't think of love. These are things that are actually there in the world, and we can approach them, but not as symbols. But people read symbols, and we want to construct reality that way, because we think reality is our own personal construction, our subjectivity, finally. So many. So they think, for example, someone was saying to me yesterday that the horse, but you have to know that this is a symbol of masculinity, the bull. I was saying, for many people in Mexico, the bull is a symbol of agriculture. Really. If we went all around the world, and for children, it's not a symbol. It's just a bull. And for people that produce meat, it's just money, maybe. So it really depends. But always the sociologists and the philosophers think that what they think is the actual thing, you know, and this is wrong. So you cannot construct psychology, really. You have to leave an open door so it can be filled up. Remember the open vase. We want to produce, at least I want to produce a vase that you can fill up. If I start filling up the psychology, then the vase you will not be free. You will be entertained, maybe.
Պարոնեք, դուք արդեն անդրադարձաք ձեր կինոյում մտածողության երկու կետում գոնե նմանություններին, այն որ ստեղծագործողը եւ ստեղծված նյութը իրարից կարող են անկախ ու տարբեր լինել։ Եվ երկրորդ, որ փոխադարձաբար հավանում կամ գուցե սիրում եք միմյանց ֆիլմերը։ Սա առիթ դարձավ, որպեսզի պարոն Ռեյգադասը կարողանա առաջարկն անել պրոդյուսերական աշխատանքի Արթուր Սարգիսիչի արդեն երրորդ ֆիլմի համար եւ երբ կսկսվի այդ ֆիլմի աշխատանքները։
Никто не может знать, времени не существует. Есть такая, почему бы не представить себе, что вы появились на свет мгновение назад со всеми своими воспоминаниями. Со всеми теми воспоминаниями, которые у вас есть. Я ничего не знаю. Кино для меня, я каждый день почти снимаю какой-то фильм. Этим фильмом является просто вот опять я нахожу любительские фотографии старые. И вот лучше фильма, чем просто любительская фотография, снята где-то там в 1955 году. Семья сидит там где-то на кухне, не знаю, там едят кашу. Кто-то посмотрел в камеру, кто-то отвернулся к окну. Все. Вот я для меня такая фотография, она меня пьянит, и она делает меня зрителем целого фильма, который несуществующего. И меня делает и зрителем этого фильма, и создателем этого фильма. И иногда кажется, что можно просто умереть в этот миг, потому что ничего кроме этого мига не существует. Этого мига, когда был сделан этот снимок. И вообще есть только, вообще, кроме мига ничего нет вообще. И нет, есть миг только, а больше вообще ничего нет. И вообще, в общем, короче, ничего нет. Ничего нет. Миг есть. Ну откуда я знаю? Я не знаю, что будет. Нет, тоже не скажет. Куда он может сказать? Никто ничего не знает. Нет, есть желание снимать кино. У меня не было. Какое-то время я писал, занимался литературой. Я не выходил из дому. Вообще, там, несколько лет из дому не выходил. А я хочу дальше снимать кино. Желание это есть, но что будет, я не знаю. Пока я могу остановить фильм там, «Рокко и его братья», допустим, остановить и увидеть то, что не видит никто. Мне это мешает. Мне надо снова вернуться вот в то дикое состояние, чтобы снимать, вернуться в то состояние, когда ничего не знал того, что знаю сейчас. И нужно просто отдаться. Это здесь как режиссер отдается процессу, как актер роли, а что будет, неизвестно. Вот, отдаться, да.
I really like his films very much, very, very much. because I think he has the capacity of, to start with, the capacity of observing, of really observing, not conceptualizing. Since we grow up, when we're 12, I don't know, 8, we start conceptualizing and not observing. And he still observes, and his capacity of observation is stronger than his conceptualization capacity. And this shows in his films. And even though in his films there is representation and reproduction, still what you are seeing as observation is stronger than this reproduction. So the reproduction for me is like some sort of maquillage, some makeup that I could do without. But I'm seeing something absolutely unique and deep because it has not been conceptualized. This is a very rare quality now in films, and he's completely. This is the only way he would do it. Always observing everything around us. In ordinary life, he's like that too. And this is beautiful that he manages to show this in his films also. So if he comes to Mexico and does this film, I will be very happy. And you know, probably it would be, some people would think it's a bad film, probably, because he doesn't know like certain codes of the people and this and that, like a Russian that barely knows this place, you know. But I'm sure that because of the way he would observe and he doesn't use codes, he would make something that I would love, I think. Unique, I think. Yeah, just, you know, see, like, to be more precise, this drama, the music he uses, it's it's very Requiem, all these things. You can always see that he's not trying to fool you. He's not trying to fool you like in a film that is trying to convince you of something or create something. This is like someone that would use some makeup but not trying to fool you. Just to make it a little different, maybe the face, you know, but not to show a different face. Not like a photo we take of ourselves in a strange angle to fool the other, but just really a little decoration. But the truth, the deep observation is always there, always. And this is, it's very strange. It's not fiction, it's not documentary, it's not only presence, it's not only drama, it's something very unique for me. This is something I appreciate very much.
Okay, I have a question for Carlos. Who and what inspire you for your films? I mean, how do you get the inspiration for your films, and when do you feel that, okay, I'm ready to shoot the next film on a mental and physical level? Thank you.
I could tell you really that what inspires me the most is my observation. But not only, Artur is very observant of the outer world. I hope I'm maybe in some contact with myself and with the things around me. So each one of my films reflects very much the main concerns of my life at certain points. You know, the last films are about marriage and things like that in the countryside. That's my life too. Which doesn't mean I couldn't do a film about something else, because they're never exactly what is going on through me. I mean, it is my context, my preoccupations, but that doesn't mean that I'm living those things. Like in Japan, I've never been suicidal, and it's about a guy that wants to commit suicide. But these are the questions that I asked myself in that time. So I'm a filmmaker. I always say I'm not a professional filmmaker that has these projects. I always think of a project when I'm making a film, and then I even write or read a lot about, and then I always change when I finish. Like I've had a project for 10 years now, and I thought after Silent Light I would do it, and then I didn't feel like it. Now I don't feel like it again. So how does this happen? When I finish a film, I do some other works. I do some construction and just ordinary countryside work. I don't feel like I want to make a film. Like now, I don't feel like it. Before I got anguished, a little language, like you never know if you're going to be able to come with something relevant or not. But now I've learned that eventually there's a need that comes, an urgent need. And there's some visions that start appearing, maybe some driving forces, and then that starts burning, and then you have to sit down and write and do it. And that I call the tunnel. And you get into the tunnel and you are gone more or less for 2 or 3 years, unfortunately, maybe more. 3 years. And there you're in a complicated time, but you have to go through. I don't know how we do this, you know. I've thought of humans like life when you read like Darwin or whatever, or Parin, whatever, and you say how the world is today. If we would think backwards, you would never start. It's too complicated. But now we're here so we can write about it. Or think of a computer. A computer is finished, and we see computers. But if we were to see a computer and go backwards and see everything that you have to do to get a computer, we probably don't do them. You know, like when I think, if I would think of any of my films backwards, I wouldn't have started. They are too much of a burden. But when we're going forward, we have this capacity of projecting images, of projecting a will, some very mysterious force that makes you want to do it. So you're ready to support, to stand a lot of conflict and difficulty. And sometimes I ask myself, why don't you just do like gardening and agriculture? But there's something, there's a driving force, a creative force that is just pulling you. Like maybe Tarkovsky, this is like this internal necessity he talked about is probably very well expressed. It's a need. I don't know where it comes from, and I don't know when you're ready, but I just know that at a certain point I am, and I wait for it. I know that this is coming in waves always. It's never present always, and you have to know that when the wave is not there, it's okay. It will come. Like the divers in Acapulco, I don't know if you know these divers. You know them. They have to wait. They jump from 30 meters, and the sea is very shallow, so they have to wait for the wave. But if you don't jump when the wave is there, you die. So you have to make sure that it's the right time. And when the wave is there, you get hold of it, and you don't lose it. And then sometimes, it will be discipline at sometimes when the wave is not there anymore, but you are already on it, you have to stay, and it's discipline and some sort of sacrifice also. You have to do it. Yeah. The other thing can be for some others the money. Well, that's why Orson Welles said it has to be your real dreams or a lot of money, because it's a hell of a job. It's not a very nice job to do. Maybe, I don't know. I understood it when I read him say that. For me, it's never been the money. Unfortunately, it's always been the other need. I couldn't do it for the money. It's too bad. For me, even all the money wouldn't pay for it. It's something I don't like. I consider myself fortunate. I'm not complaining.
Carlos, I just figured that intuition plays a big part in your creative process.
Can you say that again, please?
Intuition, intuition.
Yeah, intuition, yeah, sure.
So I just want to know, because filmmaking is such a team process, you have to work with a team. How do you plan these intuitive moments, or how do you communicate to your team members? Like when you said you are passive while you're filming, you're waiting for that moment to happen. So in every process of while writing, while filming, while editing, or while doing the sound, do you plan to use the intuition in a certain way, or it just happens?
No, it's like I read this like 2 days ago, I think, like Thoreau, Thoreau, the guy who wrote Walden, the American guy, he said that you cannot go looking for happiness, because if you go looking for happiness, you will never find it. The clue is not to look for it. It will just come. If you do, well, like he said, going after a blue butterfly, you're just running, chasing after it, but if you sit down, it will probably come and sit on your arm, So this intuition, I don't plan it, I don't think about it. It's just a matter of faith, I suppose, It's like, but just think of your dreams. You make your dreams, this is for sure. No, you don't believe there's an angel doing them or a machine. Well, maybe some people do, but I think we make them ourselves. But how is it that we make them if there's no reason? I mean, our reasoning is not active while we're dreaming. But we still make dreams that we can actually write down and tell about them the following day, write them on our diary. So if we can make dreams, produce dreams, there's many things in between. You can have, if you take drugs, a strong drug like LSD, you will produce a lot of images and a lot of feelings and even ideas. And you're not producing them exactly with your reasoning. Same thing if you go in hypnosis. But we're so obsessed with this idea of creating with your reasoning and everything is under control like engineers, that of course intuition, even intuition, you want to use it as an engineer. No, it's not this way. It's something else that has to be pushing the machine. More like people that play sports. You know, there's there's the mechanical memory of the body that is creating in sports, for example. But here it has to be the mechanical creative mind or spirit, whatever you want. And you just have to let it through, but not be afraid that it will probably not be understood and this and that. And this will probably be very reasonable. I mean, my films are not like surreal or anything like that, because I live in a chronology. I'm a Westerner or half Western, pretty much Westerner, 3/4, whatever. So if I tell you any simple thing, I will tell it in a reasonable way. I hope, maybe, and I don't even hope. But there's always another realm that is very deep and it is always active. But you just have to not only trust reason, just put reason behind. Put it behind. That's all. It will make sense in the end, by definition, because we are social entities, and we exist in the same world. So if your dreams will make sense, if you would be able to just throw a dream, it will make some sense. Maybe no sense, maybe a sense that I will have to interpret, but it will still be. It will not be like the dream of an alien. It will be the dream of another human, and I can relate to all other humans like you can. Yes, sir.
I have a small question for both of you. I'll ask you to describe the world we live in and your life, and there is any difference between those two. And there is, I want to have some sort of your feeling of the world you live in and your own life, and the difference between those two.
Для меня это неотделимо. Мир родился вместе со мной. Ну, я сказал, что он рождается каждый миг, все возникает. И я не в состоянии, это происходит помимо меня. Ну, как сказать, меня никто не спрашивал, рождаться мне, не рождаться, появляться на свет, не появляться. Так уж вышло, что этот мир явился вместе со мной. Ну, он мелькает перед глазами постоянно, возникает, вот, и я с этим ничего не могу поделать.
As always, Artur has a point, the most important one, which is that basically we could say a lot of words and maybe the very interesting constructions, but I relate to what he's saying, because in the end, whatever I would answer to you, then I would say, but I know it's an illusion. And I also think my life and the world are the same thing. Although I know when I die, the world will carry on, of course. But basically, my main impression is that it is an illusion. Sorry, let me take this off, sorry. I probably was talking too loud, I don't know. My basic impression is that it's all an illusion. Yes. That's why sometimes that's why we all say different things about it. Even we ourselves say different things about it. With only a few minutes, or maybe at the same time, we feel different things about it. So whatever I would say would just be a construction now for this purpose, now, here. But what I think the world is and my life is multi-layered, and these layers are never they're impermanent kinetics, they're impermanent movements. The only thing is that I always keep very clear two things. One is that I will die, and that I like to be, I don't want to put it very mystical, but present, and that means, for example, enjoying my children as much as I can because I know they will go. Enjoying, trying to enjoy, or even suffering, whatever happens, the obscure parts too, but knowing that it will go. Even my legs, walking up the hills, because I know one day they will not work anymore. I just try to keep my eyes open. That's the only thing I can tell you. And I know that life is and I know that it's an illusion. And the organized world is more of an illusion and more irrelevant. But I don't want to be a solipsist. I like to relate. Love and companionship are part of what constitutes all my feelings. And I want to live them as much as I can. I don't know if that answers your question. But a very good answer would just be an idea now, not a real answer. A good answer is a bad answer for your question, a very bad answer. A real good answer would just be words. Maybe what some really special bookseller would write, you know. What is it, not bookseller, like the bestseller writer could write like a really good idea to that question.
Can I?
Thank you.
I have a question for Carlos. Beginning to write the script or working on film, do you have a fear of something or doubt? And how do you fight with them, or if you have them?
Yeah, doubts, yes, for sure. Sometimes I ask people, like Natalia, my wife, that I trust her and she has a lot of insight. And I can now also ask someone that is completely unrelated to this, you know, maybe a gardener or just a friend that does something else. And it's not to get the answer, but maybe even to know, maybe the answer that you don't want is that they will give you the clue to what you want. But fear is something that is always a very bad advisor. You have to be, I'm not saying you have to be a superhero and always be brave, because I know fear too. But you have to know, but I know fear too in other aspects of life, not in the creative process. I have no fear because, you know why? Not because I'm brave, but because I know I have nothing to lose. You really have to understand that you have nothing to lose to be able to overcome fear. If you are afraid of losing whatever, then this fear will arrest you, and you will never give access to your internal vision. In the end, it's we call this brave, to be brave, maybe in another way. But yes, it's about being brave somehow. But you can only be brave knowing that you don't have anything to lose, absolutely nothing, nothing. Even if you never make a film again, if you did it, that you can lose anyway. Even if you try to please everybody, maybe you will never do a film again. You just have to trust. Nothing, we don't have nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing. Nothing, not much to win either.
Well, hi, my name is Diana Makarian, and I'm studying at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I'd like to ask a question which can relate to both for you. I wanted to ask Carlos, but it relates to Arthur too. Whether you work with professional actors or non-professional actors, you challenge them enough emotionally and even physically, you know, to open up in front of the camera. What do you do to create an atmosphere of trust and comfort for actors? Because it's challenging for both of them, whether professional or non-professional. Yeah. And another question is, I watched Our Time yesterday, and I've researched about you. You shoot a lot of scenes with animal cruelty, but it's real life. Where did this desire to show this part of life came to you to shoot in your films? Because it's pretty risky. Not everybody does that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll answer the second question first. This is mostly, I'm going to start talking these terms superficially, it's like a joke, but Anglo-Saxon propaganda. I don't do it so often. I did it in Japan. There's a hunting scene and they behead a pigeon. And then, and that's all, really. But that's all, really. Like, we could go scene by scene. In my last film, for example, when that mule dies, she's not dying. She's not. Yes, that's the whole point of cinema. It's no CGI and no animal is hurt. I can assure you that. It's all made with the traditional means of cinema of the 1940s, the cut, the off-screen, and the sound. And that's the way you have to go around it, and that's how it happened. And if you would ask me how, or that mule that you're actually seeing that is being torn apart, who told you it's alive? You believe it, don't you? Yes, that's cinema. It's probably a corpse. Check it up, check it again. That's how cinema works. So this answers the first question, which is that you don't have to create an atmosphere. Maybe the atmosphere you create, maybe it will not work. Maybe someone will be very uncomfortable on the screen and that will work very well. Maybe someone will be very comfortable and that will not work. What you do need is a complete framework of trust based on real commitment. So before, when we start talking about the film, if I see someone and I like this person for the role and I propose a role, I tell them since the beginning, not even what the film is about. About in general terms, yes, of course, like the subject matter if you want. But I don't want them to see the screenplay, but I do tell them if they have to jump from a building that is going to be on fire and it's going to be complicated, if they'll have to be naked, if they'll have to have sex, I tell them clearly since the beginning. And because I work with adults, they decide whether they want to do it or not. And if they ask me why, it depends on the type of people. Usually non-Western Mexicans don't care why. Westerners in Mexico do care because more of a projection of the self. But this is basically why, most people, like the woman in Japan, my first film, that was really complicated for her. She never understood why, so she didn't want to know, but she trusted me and she thought just the why for her was because this is important for the film. That was enough for her. And it was hard for her, it's not easy. But then after 2 or 3 scenes naked, for example, all this falls down very easily because all this thing about nakedness and the body is a theater already. And imagine in Saudi Arabia, they would allow women to wear skirts like a lot of you. During 2 weeks, everyone would be, but maybe after a year, no one would care anymore. It's habit. And this happens very quickly in a shooting. Immediately, it's dismantled. And then there's other women, like the woman in Battle in Heaven, who's very, very overweight. And she's very proud of her body. She wanted to do it. She was so happy to do it. And she's still very happy that she did it because she thinks bodies like hers, which are so common, deserve a space in cinema. On the contrary, other hypocrites say, oh, you are using it for shock value, putting these monsters in film. I've been told that by American magazines mostly. Monsters. This is ordinary people. And some people like her are very happy. So each one has a different motivation to do these things. So that's how you do it. Just being honest and being open and sharing your need. And some people say, no, I'm not going to do it. This has happened to me. So you only see the final result. But throughout the process, I've met people that I tell them since the beginning, and they say, no, I'm not interested in this. And that's it. So I've chose someone else. I had to carry on. Yes.
I hope you don't mind if I insert a comment. That was exactly what I was trying to get at earlier today during the when I was asked that question initially, just to raise, because I wanted to raise exactly those issues. So thank you for helping to clarify that. So did you, if I understood correctly, did you also want to ask a question of Artur? The same question? Either one? Okay.
We made the circle, you see? You
started
and...
Yeah, the question about Artur's relationship with the actors, yeah. In light of...
Just let me say something while he translates. This animal cruelty, you see how it's so easy to create in us a taste and the way we think. It's just so easy to manipulate. More now than ever with the internet and social media, and of course this is dominated by the world superpower and their own agenda. So, yeah, animal cruelty. What animal cruelty? The English, for example, in Japan, they cut this thing about this bird having its head cut. But at the same time, immediately after the cinema, you eat meat. So it's this horrible hypocrisy about what we don't see doesn't exist, but if we cannot see what really exists. So I don't like to behead animals, but the hunters are doing it right now, this very second, and much worse than that, there's animals suffering in so many farms all over the world right now. But the second thing in that film that was cut in England is that at the end of the film, there's a puppy, and there was the veterinarian of the village working with us, and he was carrying his puppies around since the day I met him. He was always with animals. Also, he had cats and he had parrots. So he had his his animal, and then he sort of tickles him at the end of the song. Did you see that? He goes, and for the English, this was also animal cruelty. The same day they were bombing Iraq, and they forced me to cut it, and it's not in the film. So you cannot see that because it's very traumatizing for English audiences. Yeah, exactly. Like the meat we're going to eat here, it's real life. It wasn't produced in a virtual lab. No, but I'm not saying you're saying it. I'm just saying that they make up this like ideas, words that become ideas which are preconceptions. Animal cruelty, toxic masculinity, these things, and we start believing them very quickly.
So we have, if you don't mind, we have like about 10 minutes, but I would like Artur to answer that question about working with developing an environment of trust with actors in order to create this, help create this visual world that you're trying to depict on screen. Is that a good translation of what you were trying to say? Okay. So would you like to respond to what she said as well?
Тут мало сознательного в этом процессе, мало что от головы идет. Ну, часто направляешь камеру и знаешь, что этот человек поведет себя как надо. Иной раз актер, который может по-разному, от него ничего нельзя добиться. Расскажу историю смешную. У Никольсона спросили как-то, как вы играете. Он сказал, что я не играю. И это все мое лицо делает. Если мне говорит режиссер какую-то глупость, режиссер хочет от него чего-то добиться, а сам не знает ничего. А говорит ему что-то, что вот там испугайтесь. И он спокойно делает то, что его просят, о чем его просят. И делает это хорошо, потому что, вернее, не думает о том, чтобы сделать это хорошо, и как это сделать, чтобы это было хорошо. Он знает, что его лицо испугается как надо, или улыбнется как надо, или ничего не будет выражать, но тоже как надо, потому что это лицо его. Вскоре после этого он узнал, совсем недавно, он этого сам не знал, что, оказывается, его мать ему не мать, а сестра. Ну, там пахло лишением родительских прав, материнских прав. В общем, переписали ребенка с матери, мать сделали сестрой. Мать сделали сестрой. Он принимал всю жизнь мать за сестру, а это была его мать. А матерью считал другую бабушку, мать своей матери, или другую женщину, неважно. Главное, что не мать свою. Он знал, что это сестра. Так вот, это он знал или не знал, но его лицо все время знало это. Что это сестра понимать. Вот это лицо, которое знало, что это не мать, а сестра, а человек не знал, а лицо его знало. Оно как надо испугается, как надо улыбнется. О том, что это не человек все думает, не человек работает. Это тут еще важно, что чувство говорил, что, не знаю, поняли меня правильно, что тут, то есть тоже здесь чувство не как в жизни, там ты о ком-то заботишься, без кого-то не можешь жить, там, или наоборот, ну не знаю, любые чувства испытываешь в жизни, это совсем не те чувства, которые, это совсем не те сильные чувства в жизни, совсем не те сильные чувства, которые живут в искусстве и создают искусство. Это другие чувства совсем. Это они, поскольку имеют отношение к человеку, это, может быть, скорее всего, они имеют отношение к мертвым, а не к живым. Ну, чувства. Ну, и живут они в мире чувств уже освободившихся от человека. Там все решается, там все и во время репетиции, это театр, это или кино, и во время съемки, когда ты, не знаю, снимаешь постановочно, снимаешь хроникально. Это, как снимаю? Там, может, и был один человек, который мог бы ответить на ваш вопрос, может быть, с пониманием того, что на самом деле происходит. Я хочу знать это, но я не знаю пока. А вот он, наверное, знал. Это Стивен Двоскин. Вот, может, кто-то слышал. Это режиссер, жил в Лондоне, не так давно умер. Он всю жизнь почти всю жизнь прожил. Но у него ноги просто болтались, они не ходили. И последние 30 лет он прожил в инвалидном кресле, и все фильмы снимал из инвалидного кресла. И постоянно испытывал боль. И на этом чувстве он снял все свои фильмы, снимал он их как? Постановочно или документально сказать невозможно. Он звал там все проституток, или иногда просто знакомых, и просил их делать то, что... И просил их что-то делать, ну не знаю. Задавал им вопросы, просто просил их что-то ему рассказать, просил проявлять к нему чувства, даже если они не, даже если ему это неприятно. И вот, и просто снимал их и просто это снимал. Но он не разговаривал, я с ним виделся, он тоже ничего не мог сказать. Я с ним говорил, он испытывал просто сильную боль, а когда снимал, испытывал тоже боль, но другую. И он не мог сказать, что это. И это боль позволяла ему просить людей, которых он снимал, просить правильно. Ну, я не знаю. Вот он спрашивает, там, зовет проститутку, спрашивает, ты бы хотела сделать мне сейчас больно? Она говорит, да. Но все это так не сыграет ни одна актриса. Но это его кухня.
Wow, I wasn't expecting to hear the name of Stephen Dworskin today. I think, let's see if we have, we're actually just about out of time. Yeah, we're out of time. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for a very engaging conversation today. And thank Carlos and Artur. Yes.
Yeah, James, I would like also thank you and the interpreter that's sitting there for hard work, because it's really difficult when
two different legs which are switching from back and forward. And thank you, Arthur and Carlos, being here with us. And I hope you will enjoy the festival, and the festival will enjoy your films because it's still coming. And yes, tomorrow we will have another rendezvous. Come and meet with our guests. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And if I can just make one last thing,
Oh, yeah.
please make a point of seeing Место на земле, A Place on Earth, on the big screen, because this film is extremely difficult to see. It was released on DVD like 15 years ago. It's no longer available. So this is a very rare opportunity to see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also, if you didn't see the Temple of Cinema exhibition at the Россия Cinema, please go and see it, because it's something that you will never forget. Thank you.